two, one, action.
Here on our podcast, we embrace being new. It is one of our reasons for starting this. However, in sessions, when clients notice or inquire about how you present in session as a new therapist, there can be many swirling emotions around the reality. Today, we're diving into what our experiences have been with clients noticing us being new in the field. And this is Newbie-ginnings. All right. Opening icebreaker.
Yes, icebreaker. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So, would you rather have a perfect memory or be able to forget anything you wanted to at will?
Oh, perfect memory.
Yeah.
Oh, like one perfect memory?
It's just this perfect memory. Like perfect memory where you're able to remember everything.
Oh,
Your worst
no.
nightmare.
Yeah, no, that would be a nightmare because I'm thinking of all the cringe stuff that I do.
Yeah, but those are funny. You can laugh at it.
Can I?
That's what I do at least. I'm just like, what else can I do? I've already done that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. But then I think about some of the things like more sentimental, like
Yeah.
life, and
Yeah.
how I feel like it would be nice to have perfect memories of like, loved ones that have passed and stuff like that. But and I feel like forgetting things doesn't necessarily mean others would forget
Yeah.
it, like
Yeah.
just you.
Yeah. Yeah, but then it'll help you move on.
It would.
But you're forgetting anything that you want to at your will.
And I mean, having a perfect memory might also
At
make it
will.
so that you try to avoid doing
Yeah.
maybe cringe or bad things or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think I would say I'd rather have a perfect memory
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I agree.
Oh,
I think having a perfect memory would serve me correctly because I do a lot. I feel like sometimes my past behaviors, even currently or in the future, it will be cringy anyways, so let me just learn how to laugh about it or learn from the experience that I have had, just learn from it and then just move on, because I'm just like, what else can you do? But there are times, where you want to forget certain memories, but at the same time, if there's big lessons that you have learned from it, I'll keep it. And in real life, it's just like, I need to live with this. So.
yeah. I think that's good. A good reasoning for it.
Yeah.
Our topic today, being new.
Yeah.
Um, it's an inevitable thing.
Yes, it
It's
is.
whether you start at a new job, whether it's starting first day of college in a new field.
Yeah. I've never
Definitely.
stepped into social work field until I have gotten my bachelor degrees and until the internship. So everything in this field has been new to me.
What was your experience like starting off with your internship?
With bachelor's, master's, both.
Both.
Both. Well, I would say with my bachelor year of internship, it was new, right? I didn't know anything. As I said, it was completely new, and it gave me a perspective of how case management worked and how group facilitation worked, and even though I had classes, I don't know if it was bachelor or master year that I had group, but I think it was masters, but whatever. So I facilitated a group there too, which was an experience because I was just like, oh, group seems fun in my head, but while I was doing it, it was a new experience. I was so nervous, and so like, what should I do? But it was a nice experience because I had a cool facilitator who would chime in whenever needed. So, and there was another part of my internship during my bachelor and my master year internship where you provide people with resources that they need, and I think I have been already doing that, so that wasn't much of a new thing to me. but however, this, since you're doing this as um an experience and with other people that you don't really know, I think that was something that was very nerve-wracking for me.
Hmm. What was I? Because I know you mentioned doing group and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, when you were co-facilitating group, was there did there ever feel like a power imbalance or like ever felt like yeah I'm new?
Yeah. Yeah. No, so when I was watching and just observing the facilitator, I was like, okay, this seems easy. I'm just looking at it. And although there were clients that were challenging, she would handle it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then when I had to do it, it was challenging because the clients there were, um, they were, how do I say this? They were very opinionated or not, I don't know, but strong-headed.
Hmm.
So I think even they were like that, but they were still, I guess, nice to me because they saw me shadowing the case
Hmm.
manager. So I think they were a little bit more nicer to me when I was facilitating, which is great.
And I feel like, from my experience, I think I co-facilitated one group during my master's internship.
Oh, okay.
And then I did some where I had to, for like a school project, I had to be in the groups
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like
yeah,
to like hand out paperwork and
yeah.
talk about it. But I do think that I don't know if authority is the right word, but I think certain staff, like after you've been in the field for so long and you've done like a group for so long, you've done the practice, you do kind of carry a sense of like authority or confidence that clients see
Yeah,
and value and
yeah.
I don't, maybe respect. Again, I don't know if that's like the right word for it, but I feel like they would always listen to her very well. They would engage, and then like when I would try to do it, she would have to step
Hmm.
in. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just because she was there and they, were like, oh, we don't really listen to you, we listen to her, or
Yeah,
if it was because I just didn't have that level of confidence to myself.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's a valid thing because, as you said, they have that experience, right? And experience gives you that confidence, and they have been in multiple situations like that, so they know what to do. Whereas us, they see our raw and candid faces and our experiences, so they are aware of that too.
yeah.
And then in the beginning, they're told, they're an intern, and
Mm-hmm.
they already have that perception.
We're introduced to everyone as an intern.
Yeah,
Understandable.
makes
But
sense.
when you're trying to be in that position of like leading or
Hmm.
co-facilitating, then it's more apparent. Like,
Yeah,
okay, they don't really know what they're talking about or questioning it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And not, maybe, some people, they take it seriously, but other people, it's just like it's kind of hard to um make sure that they are participating and they're not slacking off, because they can see that we might not be as confrontational as the other ones that are very experienced. But that's where we learn, right? Us being new, we learn through the challenging clients that we see. So yeah.
And I think you bring up a good point when you mention like confrontation as like a therapy skill, because I
Yeah.
know confrontation, challenging clients is definitely a skill that is important to have.
Mhm.
It's part of what makes therapy different than just talking to a friend. Is you have a therapist who actually is willing to challenge your thoughts or behaviors.
Yeah.
And I think starting off being new, when you're first doing sessions, like when I was an intern, even as an employee, when I first started like switch from crisis into like, therapy work, that switch of being in session and trying to challenge or confront clients in session felt so scary for me. And I felt like I can't do this. Like I
Yeah.
have no, confidence or skill set to do this. Like who am I to confront them
Yeah.
yet?
Yeah.
And I realized that that very quickly started impacting the work I was doing because I didn't know when to do it. I didn't know if it was appropriate. And then I felt like the times that I would do it almost backfired.
Oh.
So I think definitely confronting and challenging.
Yes. So when you try to backfire, and when you try to confront them, and it backfired, did it? did you learn, or was it like a motivating factor for you?
I learned from it. I brought it up with like my supervisor about like how to go about it easier,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we kind of both realized, like, agreed that it was probably just too early in the therapeutic session. Like, I
Oh,
think it
okay.
was maybe first few times that I had met the client, and I think that's, my supervisor was like, oh, an outpatient, it's okay to wait to challenge those things till
Yeah.
later. Like, essentially, you're building your own memory for it. So, like, you're taking note
Oh, okay.
of
Yeah.
when a client says like conflicting statements, or
Mm-hmm.
like nobody ever talks to me, and then yet you're thinking of all the different times like the client's like, oh, and I told this person off, or I block everybody, and so then later you can then pull that out. Like, so you say, no one wants to talk to you, but you've mentioned, in different sessions that you block people very easily, or you go off on people.
Yeah.
And I think I did it too early,
Okay. Yeah.
and I think the client, just received that as like judgmental,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah.
um, and even to this day, I still don't know quite when a good time is to
Yeah.
confront or challenge.
Yeah.
um, I don't know if a client is bringing it up every session and you're realizing, okay, we've got to do something now, or it's never going to have an insight to them, or what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is difficult to navigate, right? But if it's like a recurring thing, you're able to have that, as you said, have those stacked up evidence as to, there are reasons as to why this is happening. But if it happens once and if it doesn't happen again, it's kind of difficult because you would like, oh, maybe I should have interfered during that time.
I'm used to it more of like, with crisis work, we don't really do a lot of challenging confronting, but crisis work is very solution focused. And so if a
Yeah.
client does come to you and they're having an issue with their partner or their family, you are working to be kind of quick with like, could this be, potentially a problem? Could this maybe help you?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's also where my nature of it came from,
Oh,
is
yeah.
I'd spent so many years, too, but I spent like 2 years
Enough years.
working with people on
Yeah.
like, not necessarily even problem solving in the first session, but just like, this is your problem. Could this be a good
Yeah.
solution? Let's try it out. And in therapy, it's a lot more spread out.
Yeah, long term, trying to build that report very
Yes.
slowly because it could freak them out sometimes.
Yeah. And I try to think of it as like, if I met a person and I only knew them for a little bit, and then they started like challenging certain things that I say, I'd be like,
Yeah.
ooh, like, I would probably think like, are you even my friend?
Yeah.
But if it's somebody who I've been friends with a long time, I would probably take that more of like, okay, I value your opinion. I know you just care about me. Um, so maybe that's also part of it, like with that rapport. Like, if a client actually works with you and they feel comfortable enough and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, I trust you,
Yeah.
they might take that insight a little bit more.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is hard. And sometimes it's also maybe sometimes I don't know. I feel like I do sometimes challenge clients in session, but not in, I don't know, in a aggressive kind of way. But then I'm just like, should I be more aggressive or what? So it's just like, because sometimes it is needed, right? With that confrontation, or sometimes it just happens.
Mhm. That just that skill in of itself being new, like, I remember in undergrad talking about one of the kind of basic interviewing skills was confrontation,
Yeah.
and how we always learn like, you have to use that very gently, you have
Yeah.
to introduce that gently. And so it's stuff like, I know, but I didn't really know quite a good time to do it. And
Yeah.
so I think what I'm doing and what I'm going to try to do is like recognize patterns. Like, how often does it come up in session? Is it, very frequently? Is it
Mhm.
very rare? And I think
Yeah.
that might help me.
Yeah, and also, setting it up front and, trying to be like, what kind of therapist or do you want me to be like, or what type of, trying to get to know the person. And sometimes you can intervene earlier, confront a person earlier because that's the type of person that they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where they don't get as offended as other people would, and they think that it would be more helpful for them if you challenge them, right? And they're able to um, learn from all of those things. So yeah, it depends from the clients too, from their perspective. But mostly we're taught to get into it very slowly, build
Yeah.
that rapport, not freak them out, which is helpful, right? But at the same time, there are other clients that it might not work as well
Mm-hmm.
with them.
Yeah.
So
I had a client once who was kind of like that, where they're like, I want you to tell me what it is, like tell me as it is or something, like be very
yeah,
direct and all of that.
yeah,
And I brought it to my supervisor, and my supervisor was like, you know, proceed with caution. Uh, and then I found that when you would try to do that with the client, they were more, even though they said like, yeah, like,
yeah,
I think for them, like they were open to the kind of the challenge, but I think they took it more as like criticism of things they needed to change. And I
yeah,
think psychologically, I think it was more of like um, something that they had learned, like a learned behavior as a kid, like,
oh yeah,
from authority figures, like I got to listen to what they say to improve myself. So I think it was less about them wanting to make meaningful change and more so like, oh, you think that's a problem in me, I need to change it.
yeah,
Let me change it.
yeah,
So I was able to work with my supervisor to help navigate like
mm-hmm,
how do I help a client who's, in that case,
yeah,
especially being new and
yeah,
not having a lot of experience with clients
yeah.
in general. I think I might have been an intern at the time too.
Yeah, and that's where you need a good supervisor, right? To guide you and be like, this is how you should go about it then, right? And based on their experiences, we can learn from them too.
Yeah. Like positively, um, I had a client once, and this made me feel really good, where they were kind of asking about like, oh, like how long have you been in the field? How long have you been a social worker, therapist, things like that? And I was kind of explaining it to them, and I was worried. I was like, oh man, because we talked about this in our last episode. Like, I
Yeah.
was worried that if they know that I've only been in the field for so long, that they're gonna be like, oh, I don't. Because I did have a case like that recently where a client looked me dead in the eyes and said, I want someone with a little bit more experience. Didn't even ask me how long I'd been in the field. They just
Assumed
assumed,
assumption.
and they were right. They're
What's
right.
the thing? Give me a chance.
Right, but like, give me a chance.
Yeah.
But they had also been in therapy numerous times, so I
Oh,
think
oh.
they were more like, I know what I want. With this particular client, they had never been to therapy before, and I think this might have been our like the first encounter they ever had with like a mental health screening. And after I told them like, yeah, I graduated this year and been in this field since, did my internship here, they were like, I feel so much more comfortable talking to you now about the process of therapy. And I was like, it was something along the lines of like the process of therapy. And I was like, wow. And so I realized, and I brought that up with my supervisor, like I realized that it was almost like showing them that I was also new and I was starting out somewhere, and not like, oh, I've been in the field for 20 years. This is like cake to me.
Yeah.
This is easy work. Like
Yeah.
they valued the fact that I was kind of right alongside them, and and then they wanted to like come back and see me for
Yeah.
things, and I couldn't because it was like in my role, like they could come back as they wanted, but I couldn't schedule them. Like I didn't do outpatient,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't doing my internship at that point anymore.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I remember being like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Being new has its own perks.
It did, and so I kind of realized too, like, I think we have an episode talking about like populations and niches,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think I realized that was kind of a niche area that I wanted to go, like, um, people who haven't had a lot of mental health experience, like I think kind of navigating that, helping them, families, things like
Mm-hmm.
that, where they've never dealt with it
Yeah.
before. So,
So you know how sometimes it's much more comfortable when you are um alongside a person that is in a kind of similar boat as you are,
mm-hmm.
right? Where they have that comfort and are like, okay, I can be more vocal about the things that I'm going through, right? And you're not going to be, as judged. And it's also like they're going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. So we're just going to learn from each other. Maybe that's why, just I think there's
Yeah,
that comfort there.
absolutely. Just knowing you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that we're both kind of learning. And and I think too, with those clients, I felt more comfortable saying, let me do some research on that.
Yeah.
And nowadays I am. Like
Yeah.
now I am more comfortable telling clients, like,
Oh,
let me get
okay.
back to you on that. Let
Yeah.
me But as an intern,
It's very
I was like, is that bad? Is
yeah.
it like, does that challenge my, education? Like, does that make it seem like, oh, I can't go to him anymore because
Yeah.
he doesn't know what he's talking about? But and some people, I think it is a deal breaker. I think some
And
people are like, ugh,
yeah.
I don't, but I think it is good to also model that, like, I may not have 20 years of experience, but even if I did, I might still have to research a topic.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to allow it, like, to provide what's so good. I'm trying to think of like a better way to say this. I think it's good to model that idea that for clients that therapists do have to sometimes
Do the
do
research.
their own research outside of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's what we're always learning. We're always continuing. But the main thing is that I am trying my best to help work with them.
Yeah.
And if I'm realizing it's out of my scope,
Yeah.
helping them, provide a good referral system so that
Yeah.
we can make sure that they're getting the help they need.
I totally agree. I had this colleague, right, where she would, because sometimes when we need to diagnose people, we don't have all the criteria in our head that we have it memorized, right? So she would be vocal to the clients, like, I'm not a robot, right? I don't have all of these diagnosis criteria memorized, right? So she would start with that and then start with the diagnosis part, which I think was very helpful, right? Because when you're bringing it out, they could have that judgment too, where it's just like they don't know the criteria, this is their job and things like that. So um being having that honesty up front is much more helpful, and it could sometimes take down their judgment a little and be honest about it. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the way to go. So I would say, whenever I started therapy, like during my internship and also starting as a job, I didn't think when it was during my internship, I think I would just go to the clients and talk about what they're here for, right? I wouldn't necessarily be like, I am new, blah blah blah, things like that. But I think they would have already known that because of you know looking at me and all of that. So, but they didn't upfront ask me either, right? Are you new, or have you worked with these kind of population that I am in, right? They didn't necessarily ask those questions either, so I was just like, okay, then let's get started with what you're here for. So um, yeah. Well, did I have any clients that asked? I don't think so. But I had this one client who was like, he was not the person was like, it seems like you're in the same age population as I am, and I was like, I am, but how? What? I was like, I am, but you're not supposed to know that. But I get it,
Yeah.
I totally understand, but it was just like a shocker to me. So yeah, so I don't think people have talked to me about it. Well, maybe they have. Oh, they have asked about my age, and I was honest about that.
What about oh, there's some like
Yeah, I was like, did
outside
you
noise.
hear that? I was thinking, okay.
Well, it's weird because there's like an alley right next to us, so I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know. But usually people aren't in it, so I don't know if that's gonna pick up. We'll
Oh,
see.
yeah.
um, with your work too, did you like? Do you have any like memorable experiences with like colleagues or supervisors and being new, good, bad?
So for me, since I have been in the mental health field at all, right? So I always knew I wanted to become a therapist or a social worker. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but one of my main um, major was social work. So that's all I knew. I've never entered that field or anything, right? So everything super, whether that be supervision, um colleagues, and everything else in between, it was just a new experience for me. So I didn't know if it was supposed to go this way or if it's supposed to go that way, what way was the right way to go. So everything that was given to me, I just took it as it this is how it's supposed to be, because I didn't have anything else to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another aspect of being new is like,
Yeah.
right, especially if you don't have any experience in that field where you're just like, I've been wanting to do this for my whole life, and now I finally get to do it, and you're so excited to do it, where you're just like, you, you don't know what to expect, but a lot of things are happening, but you don't know if it's the right way that it should be happening, but you don't know how to question it because you're new.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of juggling that, and that also comes with experience too, right? Where you learn, okay, maybe this is not the type of um therapist that I want to be, or like, oh, maybe I don't want to do with this population, or maybe the supervision that I'm getting, I don't want it like that. I want it another way,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think all of that, but like I think as a new um person in this field, it is overwhelming but very exciting at the same time, but a lot overwhelming.
Yeah. And I think it's an opportunity, like when you're starting out, it's to make it your own.
Yeah.
But because you're new and you're, especially as an intern, you're like the lowest
Yeah.
at a place, it's hard to find your voice.
Yeah.
At least I know for me, like I had great supervisors, great like intern coordinators, but finding my voice to be able to like bring up a concern that I
Yeah.
had, it didn't feel right. Um, I mean, I felt like I would sometimes see people who had been at the agency for a while try to speak up and were dismissed for their opinions or their
Mhm.
questions or bringing things up, and so yeah,
Yeah, it's, and as you watch back your new, well, we're still new, but like your earlier days, you're like, oh, maybe I should have asked them this kind of question, right?
yeah,
Or I should have done this, or things like that. Even with schooling, right? There was a lot of resources that were available there with teachers, professors, and all the other people, right? I feel like I should have utilized those resources more. And because I was new and this was a new experience for me, I didn't utilize those resources to my full extent. I didn't utilize or ask questions to my professors that I have questions now, where I only have one person or two people that I could um ask, right, those questions. But whereas when I was in college, there was a lot of different professors that I could go to and gain their perspective because they
mhm,
have been in this field for a long time too.
yeah,
So, and you would get an outside perspective from the people from the agency too, which would be refreshing. So it's just being new is it's like a lot of juggling and not
absolutely.
knowing, and then being like, okay, this is what I should do.
Yeah, I felt like I was able to ask some of my professors and a lot of questions, but because my internship was relatively focused on like the crisis work, there was only so much that I really needed to ask that couldn't
Yeah,
have been answered at
yeah,
internship.
yeah.
Now that I'm in the therapy world, I'm like, I wish I would have had more of that experience in my internship
Mhm.
and kind of prioritized it a little bit more because I knew that that's in the realm I wanted to go in.
Mhm.
So I wish I would have asked more questions and utilized those resources a little bit more
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of things, that are like, oh, I should have done that more. So, but it's just being new. It's already hard as it is,
Yeah.
and you have to do a lot of different things and try a lot of different things to know. Okay, this is what I want to do. But other people, they already know what they're gonna do. But yeah, so yeah, being new is
It's a lot of live and learn.
yeah, exactly, which is like cliche but also true.
It is. It's so true. I always say that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
Um, and I think too, just some advice that I would have to people doing their internship would be genuinely make it your own. I had my undergrad supervisor told me, and I always referred back to it, but I never felt strong enough to like push forward. She said, "You are paying for this,"
Yes. Yes.
and it was like. And it really, because she would always ask me, like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to know? What do you want to learn?
Yeah.
And I did feel a little comfortable exploring some of those in undergrad, but I always remembered it for grad school, but I just could never bring myself to like fully say this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Eh,
so
and you don't, there's a lot of different options that are available, but you don't know what those options consist of, right? And it's all also very overwhelming too, where you're just like, this is a new environment.
Yeah.
What if what I asked for doesn't get delivered? And then I'll be disappointed too, right?
Yep.
And there's a lot of other factors that play into it, but I think whenever whatever the the person would say those things too, right? You're paying us, right? I would be like, well, yeah, that is true. Like, so I should utilize all the resources that are here, but at the same time, it's just like I don't want to burden them by asking them too much. So
Right. Well, not only are we paying the school to then do our internship, but then we're bringing you in money because,
yeah,
like, I was doing billable work in my grad school, and
yeah,
undergrad I wasn't, but in grad school I was doing billable work, so I was bringing in money to the company,
yeah,
but not getting anything from it
yeah.
other,
No.
against some experience. I do think my internship experience was better than some of the other interns I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I feel like would be a good episode
Oh,
topic.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I generally had good experiences with my supervisors, and a lot of people, I was worried that people would be like, oh, you're new. I had some colleagues who would try to dismiss me because I was new, but I did have a lot of supervisors who embraced the fact that I was fresh out of school or I was currently in school, and they were like, you probably know so much more about like these theories and all that, which I think was accurate, but not maybe applicable
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to actually what I was
Yeah.
doing. Like,
Yeah.
sure, I can
Yeah.
tell you about Freud, but I don't
Yeah.
know how helpful that's going to be in a
Yeah.
genuine therapy session.
Yeah.
But they always embraced it.
Yeah.
And my supervisor, when we were at one point, we were looking to hire different positions, and when I was also being hired, and she was really rooting for new grads to get positions, and I was so like felt so like at home and like I had found a good place
Mhm.
because instead of being like, oh, well, you don't have 3 years of experience, we don't
Yeah.
want you.
Yeah.
They're like, we want the new grads, we want people, we want to be able to help train people. So, and I thought it was relatively good, and I think that
Yeah.
they took care of me there,
Yeah.
at least regarding that aspect.
Yeah, yeah, I think same here. My supervisors were great. My colleagues were great too, where they did provide me with that support, where they didn't make me feel like, you know, oh, you're new, you have so much to learn, and just
Mm-hmm.
having that kind of attitude where you're just like a burden to them. They open their arms. They're like, okay, let me um let you shadow with my clients, right? Let me offer you this or that or all of those resources that would be helpful for you. So, which I think was great, right? Especially being new and you're just like, here, what deer in headlights. We're just like, oh my god, what should I
Yes.
do? So yeah,
And if there might have been a few here and there who are
we are like,
the best,
yeah,
weren't the most supportive, but because there were so many who were, I was able to focus more on that
yeah,
and not really pay attention to those
yeah,
who weren't the best at it. So
yeah,
yeah,
which is awesome.
yeah, I'm very
Yeah,
grateful for that.
yeah. So, overall, right, being new is consists of a lot of experimenting, right? And a lot of nervousness and anxiety. And, sometimes we have all these experiences as a new, um, what? So therapist, where it's just like you're just learning as you go along, right? And then as you learn and go along, when you look back at those experiences, you're just like, oh, I should have done it like that. Oh, I should have done it like that. Or, oh, I should have utilized those resources. So it's just, all in all, it's just a learning experiencing, as we said, right? And you might hear a lot of that statement too, right? You live, you learn, you're gonna, that's how it's gonna be. And as much as you would hate it to hear it over and over and over again, it is true, right? Because we're not going to learn as like this, right? We're in this field, we're gonna get all the resources, we're gonna get all the modalities, and just start using it. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take trial and error, especially being a new therapist. It's and
Absolutely.
be okay and get ready for the ride. So that's all that I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for watching or listening if you are only listening.
Yes.
This has been New
Newbie
Beginnings.
Ginnings.
Bye.
Yes, love it.
That was good.